establishing a routine, and this is something that has come up a lot with parents. And I wish there was some magic kind of potion that I could give makes this all work. So a few things to think about. A strict hour-to-hour inflexible routine is bound to fail. It's just not realistic. It's not realistic for adults, and it's definitely not realistic for kids, right? Then you have to think about your individual child and what would work best for him or her. So some kids have a routine and just making some adjustments here and there works for them. And then some kids, this whole COVID-19 situation is so different for them that they can't even maintain their typical routine. And so if that's what's happening, I would recommend you leave typical routine back. Hopefully we will get there, right? Get back to our typical lives, and then create a new routine during COVID-19. And I know at this point, this is going to really vary based on the age of your child or your children. And so I apologize if some of this isn't exactly relevant to everybody, but I just kind of tried to pick some things that would hopefully reach the most number of people. So sit down as a family and discuss what activities should be on the schedule. And these are just some ideas, right? So get dressed, brush hair, brush teeth, catheterize. I don't know about you, but in my house, we have to remind to brush teeth every day. Not sure why, but I actually have to say it, right? So doing physical activity, lunch, quiet time, chores, whatever that looks like in your house, you want to come up with these headings, right? These overall activities, categories. And then we're going to talk on the next slide too, but within those categories, you want your child or your children to come up with ideas that they could do during those times. It could be different for every child, and likely it would be, right? And you can allow children and teenagers to have some sort of control over what the actual schedule looks like. We know teenagers work best later in the day. So if they say, I don't want to do school from 9 to 11, I want to do school from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Well, we have to work with them, right? And we all are much more likely to follow through things that we have control over or that we have had input in, right? So giving your children those kinds of choices will hopefully encourage them to do what y'all have planned. So this is the idea. I kind of took those categories: physical activities, ride bikes, go for a run, wheelchair sprints. My house, we practice karate, whatever that looks like. Free time, play with Legos, video games, maybe outside with chalk. Screen time, and this is, as a parent, you kind of get to decide, do things that go in screen time also get to go in free time? Excuse me, or not. You decide that, right? So your kids can decide what they want to do, and then you as the parent have the final say over where it goes on the list, right? Reading time, chores, quiet time, and lunch. So on the left, have an example of a routine chart that might be relevant for elementary and middle school age kiddos. It does have times on the side of it. You are certainly not expected to be watching your watch and say, oh, it's 10:02, we're supposed to be doing physical activity. This is just to give you and your head an idea of kind of what comes before lunch. In my mind, everything's around food, right? So we have breakfast, and then we might have a snack, and we have lunch, and another snack, and dinner. And I actually didn't even put snacks in here, which is crazy to me because it's not my thing. But anyways, you can see that in the schoolwork area, they have, they have to do math, science, English, social studies, art, and computers. And giving them this information makes it less likely that they're going to need your help to figure out what they have to do. And if you print something like this out, kids can cross off what are the subjects that they finished. So it's very easy for them to look and say, oh, the only thing I have left to do is science, right? Physical activity, so for those couple of hours, they can do whatever they want that fits into that. And these are just some examples. And so this is to give them ideas so they're not constantly coming to you and asking, oh, what am I supposed to do now? I'm so bored, because they came up with these ideas. We talk about doing chores, and you can decide in your house whether that means do 1 or 2 of these things, or it means you need to do all of them every day. Again, really easy way to check them off. Free play, another schoolwork kind of block. This depends on how much work your kiddos have to do. Some would prefer just to get it all done in the morning. Others would prefer to do it in the afternoon. Sometimes you have to separate that for them. And then kind of we have screen time until 5 o'clock. And then in my mind at 5 o'clock, there are no rules. Anything goes after 5. So again, the chances that you and your family stick to this routine, like to a T every day, it's not going to happen. But at least this gives you some sort of structure. And then on the right side of the screen, we have what we call visual schedule example. And this is often if you have kids in lower elementary school, so pre-K, nursery school, pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, they might have what's called a visual schedule up at the front of the room. And so they know that when they come in, they sit in a circle, and then they do their calendar time, and then they do their songs, whatever that is. And your kids are used to being able to look at the board and know what's coming next, right? And so that's kind of what this visual schedule does. So yes, I know that the catheter is a Foley catheter, not a straight catheter, but it's virtually impossible to find a picture of a straight catheter that is not linked to a manufacturer. So pretend that's a straight catheter. So, you know, a reminder, you need to catheterize. The next thing, you need to make your bed. You need to get dressed, you need to brush your teeth, right? So all of those things, if they have this up in their bathroom or in their bedroom, they don't need to come and ask you. They can do it. And little kids really love checking things off. And then you can see as we get to kind of the physical activity piece of our 10 to 12 on our older kids, we have those pictures of things that they could do instead. So again, giving them choices, giving them some of the responsibility of figuring out what to do. Totally switching gears on you. The next thing is what we call coping skills bingo. And I apologize if you've heard me talk about this in the past, but it's one of my favorites. So the first thing you want to do is identify a list of coping skills for children. There will be some links at the end. There are also already some links on the SBA website in the COVID-19 category, or I'm sorry, yeah, area of the website. And so you can go there and click on any of the links, right? So then you're going to talk to your kids about this list, go through it with them, and have them think about which coping skills they might like to use. So for example, take dog for a walk, take a long bath, do breathing, journaling, positive self-statements, whatever that looks like for that kid. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples. And so this is one that my son did for me this morning. And so this bingo card is also available on SBA's website. But you can see that he says, hug a pet. He's a really big dog person. Walk the dog, call a friend, snuggle. So these are the coping strategies that worked for him. And then these are the coping strategies, if you can see, that my daughter came up with. And so hers involves play a sport, ask someone you love for a hug, take a nap. And so these can both be hanging somewhere, whether it's on the fridge, whether it's in bedrooms. And this is a good reminder if kids are feeling overwhelmed, you tell them to go check their coping skills board, right? And then you can also challenge them to bingo. So for example, who can get a line, a diagonal line, horizontal line, vertical line, 4 corners, whatever it is. And you can kind of play around with it and make it more of a game. And then the nice thing about this is it's only 9 options. So when the kids get tired of the options on here, you can throw this away, print off another one, and give them that list of 50 or 100 coping skills and let them make a new one. If there are some coping skills they really like, you know, you can they can put that on the next one too. But we want them to have kind of a finite number of things to look at, because handing a list of 100 things to a 9-year-old who's already feeling overwhelmed and stressed is probably not going to be beneficial for anybody. And then reward them for getting a bingo. Rewards look different in different homes. So y'all have to figure out what works for you. Is it a special treat to eat? Again, I go back to food. Or is it, you know, one-on-one time with mom or dad before bed, or an extra story before bed? Staying up 15 minutes late, that's a big one. Maybe a little bit less now with COVID and all of the craziness, the lack of schedules, but keep that in mind for once our kids go back to school. For some reason, little ones love the staying up late option. And so the next couple of slides, I'm going to show you some other places that you can go to get coping tools. One of my most favorite sites is called teacherspayteachers.com. The reason is because all of these activities are written and developed by teachers, school counselors, people who know our kids, right? And so some of them are free, and then some of them do have kind of costs associated with it. And so just to make sure this is clear, these are literally just examples that I grabbed. I am certainly not necessarily recommending one or both or two or all of these. I have not had the chance to actually go through them, but I just wanted to let you see what it looks like. You can search in the top corner for what you're looking for, and then if you look down kind of the left column, you can filter your search. And so if you just want to look for free options, click the free button, and then everything that comes up will be free. I do want to draw your attention to the bottom right corner though, this Palmalama thing. You'll see there is what looks like a thermometer. And I think thermometers are really helpful for kids, right? Because it gives them a visual of what are they feeling. So where are they from extremely calm to losing their mind and melting down or tantruming, whatever that is, where do they fall in between? And really helping them realize, okay, you're a little bit worried, but you're going to be okay. Or then, you know, as a parent, oh, hey, I'm going to need to intervene because we're starting to climb up that thermometer. So thermometers are great for kids, and especially if they have descriptions next to them. I really love that because then you can look, and we use this for pain. See, I always get off on tangents. We use it for pain, but instead of just asking a kid on a scale from 0 to 10, how much are you hurting? And they say 9, but they're sitting in their bed and they're eating and they're texting with friends and pretending to talk to you, but really ignoring you. That's not really a 9 out of 10 pain, right? And so if I gave them a sheet and that said maybe at 4, you're still able to eat, chat with friends, talk to people, get out of bed. And at 9, you are in tears, unable to pay attention, don't want to move, those kinds of things. It's really easy to show that to them and say, okay, let's back up. Where are you on the schedule? So the functional scale is what that would be called, and that's super helpful. Another great place to look for options is Pinterest. As you can see, I just typed in coping skills for kids, and this is just the top of all of the options that came up. You can look for free worksheets. A lot of these will actually go back to Teachers Pay Teachers, which is how I found it in the first place. But just a really good place to start. It can be overwhelming though. So I would say kind of limit how much time you're spending trying to figure all this stuff out, and just give yourself a break. This will be posted on the Spina Bifida Association's website. And again, more resources, and thanks so much. Take care. Have a great day.